life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it,
Too late to apologize. It's too late.
when I did it, I was fucked up.
Too late to apologize.
I was fucked up.
It's too late.
When I did it, I was fucked up. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility.
I'm not going to call P. Diddy a bitch. 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 Sean Combs is a bitch. Yeah. Sean Combs is a bitch. They bitches too. Sean Combs is a bitch. Yeah. Sean Combs is a bitch. You don't hit women when you're a man. You don't hit women when you're a man. P. Diddy a bitch. 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 Sean Combs is a bitch. Yeah. I'm not going to call P. Diddy a bitch or any other name like that. But I ain't gonna stop anybody else from doing it. I'm not gonna malign them. P. Diddy a bitch. P. Diddy a bitch. P. Diddy a bitch. P. Diddy a bitch. P. Diddy a bitch.
All right, hello everyone, Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call, and it's Friday. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get in the mood for it, honey, because Diddy has a hearing today, which we're going to try and tune into at around 11. Okay, and with that all being said, some more updates in Diddy's case. So everybody hit that like button, and let's get ready for these receipts. Let's get ready for these receipts. Okay. So with that all being said, let's see who's in here. All right. Jeff ATL, Claudette, Nessie is here. Nessie X, Antoinette, Juju B is in the house. All right. 504 Nola, I see you. The lovely T. Okay. Let's get into it. All right. Shout out to my loyal royals. I see you, Jeff. Okay. Alice is in the house. All hell no. Andrew is here. Okay, so shout out to all of my loyal royals and my moderators for putting in work. Okay, are y'all ready? D Major's in here. D Major, don't you start no mess today. Okay, oh my God, y'all. Tasha K had me laughing so hard last night. She had a talent show on her channel and I was literally crying. Okay, so anyway, and I was up too late watching it. Okay, so We the People is in here. Okay, so let's get started. Now, before we do, I see you, Anita Harrell. Let's have a word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Now, with that all being said, first things first, let's go to the FSU story about the shooting yesterday at Florida State University that left people dead. Because I forgot to mention that yesterday. Okay, I went on that whole rant about the Carmelo Anthony situation, and I completely forgot to speak about it. But it looks like they're live right now with some updates. So I'm going to share my screen so we can tune in and see what's going on. Hit the like button, guys. Thank you.
All right, so if you are just tuning in here to Live Now from Fox, we're watching live here this stream as 15,000 marshmallows were just dropped via helicopter. This is the great marshmallow drop out of Detroit, Michigan. And we are still seeing people waiting there. Looks like they're waiting to go run and get these marshmallows. Not entirely sure. I'm working to get.
Hold on. This is clearly the wrong clip. Now, do y'all want to see these people chasing marshmallows this time of day? Do y'all want to see this or no? Hold on. Y'all look at this while I'm trying to find the right clip. This is so nefarious. Hold on.
Get some more information on this for you, but I did want to continue to share this live look with you.
Oh, y'all are something else.
All right, my producer did just share some additional information with me. As you can see on your screen, the children are being split up by different age groups.
Okay, I bet that was hilarious if we watched it, but I'm going to go ahead and get to the... Okay, so it looks like they're showing a compilation of things on the news, you know, like I do, talking about different things because it says FSU shooting updates, Trump participates in swearing ceremony, and this, that, and the third. Okay, hold on, beloveds. But let's talk about it because this is real interesting to me, how the guy's mother, let's talk about it. Is this it right here, what I'm looking for? Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. All right, here we go. Y'all know y'all could have watched those kids run and catch the marshmallows.
Some of these figures and individuals, friends of Live Now, who we unfortunately have to call in stories like this, and they include our colleagues there, CEO of Global Security Group, David Katz, and with Byrna Law Enforcement there, Josh Sherrard. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us here. I know you've been following the developments all throughout the course of the day. David, I'll start with you here. This is a college campus, Florida State. Thousands of students are enrolled there. This took place in the student union. We don't really have many details about how the shooting suspect was neutralized. We do know law enforcement did wound him in the shooting to neutralize that suspect in the hospital. But talk about some of the security parameters and measures that a college can take here, because I want to point this out and reiterate this. Back in 2014, 11 years ago, 3 people were shot just outside and inside the entrance of one of the main libraries on the campus of FSU. And unfortunately, FSU is not a stranger to these mass casualty attacks, the latest one happening today. How does a university guard itself against this?
That's an excellent question. You know, from the overall security posture, you have a college campus which largely is open, so you don't have the ability to control access. What you need to do, and we've done this, I mean, I've been involved in active shooter response training for at least 30 years now. individuals need to be trained. So what does that mean? That means you're not, in many other emergencies, it could be a fire, it could be weather related, it could be any other, dozens of different type of emergency situations you can handle top down. In other words, in the case of a fire, the fire command center issues an alert and then tells people what to do, evacuate, stay in place.
Okay, I'm going to go to another news clip. Listen, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can prepare for when something like this occurs, because it's random. Okay, it happens spontaneously, or not spontaneously, but it happens randomly, and this is just something that you likely don't even expect. Okay, so you tell people what to do in the event, but none of that may even actually work when the time arrives, if unfortunately it does. Okay, it just may not pan out the way you plan for it. That's all I'm saying.
Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 6. Coverage you can count on.
A dangerous and life-threatening situation exists on campus.
Tonight on Eyewitness News at 6, we continue to follow the investigation underway at Florida State University in the wake of a deadly mass shooting.
Needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have hundreds or thousands of witnesses.
We're live with the latest updates from the scene.
And we begin this hour with that breaking news from Florida State University. We now know 2 people are dead. They are not students. 6 are injured, and police say the shooter is the son of a Leon County deputy and used his mother's personal weapon to commit this heinous crime. We have team coverage from Tallahassee as we gather the latest information from the ground. Good evening. I'm Martha Sigalski.
And I'm Darlene Jones. Certainly a difficult day for our local community. So many with children there in Tallahassee. Here's what we know right now about the shooting. Florida State Police identified the shooter as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, the son, again, of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy. Tallahassee police say they found a weapon at the scene that was his mother's former service weapon, and a shotgun was also found at the scene there on campus, though it's unclear if it was used in the shooting. Eichner was shot, but is still alive at this hour in a hospital there in the Tallahassee area. Police say, though, he is refusing to speak with them.
That's right. He has non-life-threatening injuries. This all unfolding at the Student Union, the heart of FSU. It's a central gathering place for students. The Student Union, again, in the middle of this sprawling large campus where more than 44,000 students are enrolled and 16,000 employees. And you have to keep in mind, the shooting started there near the Student Union at 11:50, just around lunchtime, where many people would have been gathered to eat or meet up or go to work at the Student Union.
Yeah, Martha, we began our live team coverage this hour with Channel 9 anchor Greg Warmoth, who is live in Tallahassee. And Greg, as soon as we got word about this shooting, I know you hit the road, headed there, and there is still a large police presence behind you.
There is, and I don't know if you can hear this or not, Darlene, but the bells of a Catholic church are chiming right now on this Holy Thursday. We are right across the street from the Student Union. You may be able to see it over my right shoulder. It has a pointed roof. It is surrounded by investigators right now, and many of the students who heard the gunshots ran across the street behind me to this church. We'll hear from some of them in just a moment. My nephew attends FSU. My son attended FSU. I had nieces that attended FSU, and like many of our viewers, you have friends, family, relatives. This has been a shocking day to think of what happened to this beautiful campus because somebody got a gun and decided to open fire. What was it like at that very moment? One of the students sent me this video. The sound of gunfire. We've now learned that that was a deputy-issued revolver. It belonged to one of the deputies, a student resource officer here in this county, whose son is the one accused of at least 2 counts of murder and injuring of so many others. There's at least 6 others that are dealing with injuries, not to mention the psychological impact that all of this campus and really all of Florida is feeling right now tonight. In terms of that news conference, I've heard a lot of news conferences after school shootings, unfortunately, but this one was so much different because it was a deputy's son and a deputy's gun. that created this shooting massacre here today. Take a listen.
But I will tell you this. We will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation.
I want to share my full system with you, but obviously this is an ad. So I'm hosting a free workshop where
The other thing about today, no school for the rest of the week, and there's also not a gathering that was called Active Against Hate. Ironically, that was canceled today as well. I bring in our reporter who has been on scene all afternoon. Sabrina Majori is with me. And Sabrina, you've talked with students, and I know that you've heard it in their voices and seen it in their faces, just how scared they were.
You can tell from these students how surreal this entire experience has been for them. We heard from students who told us they got an alert that actually blasted on a projector in one of their classrooms. That student told me he was sheltering in a classroom and he used a scissor thinking that that could be his last round of defense. He was terrified. And we know lots of students we spoke to ended up taking refuge at a church right next to the student union. We heard from the father of that church, one of the fathers at that church, who told us there were so many students. He told us he's never seen students that terrified in his life. So it was very difficult for him to kind of describe those events and describe what happened. And again, those students were taking refuge there. And on top of that, we also know that there were some students who were in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting. We've seen reports on social media that people who lived through that shooting were inside of FSU classrooms during this, when this all happened. One of the students I spoke to also told me he was friends with one of these students who went to Parkland and experienced that. And, it was just very surreal for them, telling us that they're now living through their second mass shooting.
Indescribable, really. I mean, you really just see the panic in people's faces and everybody's sort of running away, not really understanding what's going on. As far as I understood, a lot of people were saying they thought it was construction at first. It's very hard to decipher unless you've heard a gunshot. You don't really know what's going on.
And we heard those gunshots earlier, and I see the tents outside of the church here, the Catholic Church, for their outdoor service tonight for Holy Thursday. And I know that just rings so much more true this Holy Week. How many people were hurt, how many families were hurt, and so many are really fortunate that they weren't injured, because this was a packed place when this shooting happened.
Yeah, and the father we spoke to, he runs, the Catholic events at this school. He told me immediately after he ushered the students to safety inside of this church, he immediately started texting so many of his students who he knew he works in close contact with. There's a real sense of panic as people are still, we're not sure who these victims are at this point. That's not been officially confirmed yet. And so a lot of people just still trying to make sure that their loved ones are safe right now.
Excellent job bringing you their perspective. And again, we're going to continue to follow the story, the vigils, and the healing. I listened to the president of Florida State talk about, we are here for the university, for the families of the victims, and we will heal together. Florida State is now Florida State Strong. They are now the latest on the list of a school shooting. I know one happened in 2014 at the library. This one is so much different than that one 11 years ago. And the students involved here at Florida State, as Sabrina mentioned, Darlene and Martha, have been through safety drills throughout their schooling because of what had happened in their life, what they had to witness. And then as they wrap up their school week, it happened here. Many of them were prepared. They put their hands up. They knew what to do, which in and of itself is good, but it's also bad. Reporting live in Tallahassee, Greg Warm with Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, Greg, thank you. You're alluding to the November 2014 shooting where a former FSU graduate opened fire at the library there, shot 3 people, no one dead, but obviously this one just causing just so much sadness, devastation. Law enforcement calling this a heinous crime and that the shooter will pay. We have video from inside a science classroom during the lockdown. Students huddled in place as the FSU emergency alert played out over the loudspeakers.
Attention. Attention. This is an FSU alert. A dangerous or life-threatening situation exists on campus. Take shelter now in a secure location.
Not a drill, The real deal. About 30 minutes ago, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis commenting on this tragedy.
Casey and I stand in solidarity and are praying for the entire Florida State community. We're mourning the two individuals who lost their lives in this tragic attack, and we wish well those who are currently recovering in the hospital. This killer must and will be brought to justice to the fullest extent of the law. I want to also thank the law enforcement personnel who were on the scene, both for the university as well as for the city of Tallahassee. They ran towards the danger. They stopped this killer from inflicting more harm, and there is no question that they saved lives. We are all Seminoles today. We stand by to help in any way that we can. God bless you, and God bless Florida.
All right. Well, I hate to hear it. That is extremely bad news. Now, I'm going to go to one more clip where they talked about how the emergency alerts, the desk barricading the doors, shoes abandoned on the grass. I mean, it was chaotic. Okay, it was definitely a chaotic scene. And to think that this was the son of someone who worked in law enforcement. Absolutely ghastly. Okay, please pay attention, honey. People are crazy these days.
Mackenzie Heater. She's a junior at FSU. She witnessed today's shooting. Mackenzie, thank you for spending some time with us. I am so sorry to be meeting you like this. How are you doing? I mean, how are things settling in this moment?
It still honestly hasn't really settled that it was real. That those guns were real and people died. Everybody's just really scared.
Yeah, I mean, and it's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to not be able to handle it right now. It's unbelievable what you had to see because you saw the shooter. You saw him open fire. Can you walk me through what happened?
When I left the Union with my food, I noticed that there was a really nice orange Hummer parked on that road. And I was like, okay, cool. So I crossed the green. I'm already aware, pretty well aware of my surroundings. And I look back and I see him waving around a larger gun, which I at first thought was a rifle, but I guess it was a shotgun. And he let off a shot kind of in our direction as we were walking away from the Union. And me and the boy, there was only like a couple of us, we just kind of looked at each other like, is this real? Like, what was that? And that's when he turned, probably because he missed at longer distance, and turned to his car and grabbed the handgun out, the pistol, and he turned towards the Union. And that's when I saw him shoot a woman in purple scrubs in her back. And I just started running. I ran a mile all the way to my apartment, but I kept hearing shots firing pretty much the cops were there before I even made it home. I heard all the sirens, but it was a good 20 seconds as I was running. It was just shot after shot after shot.
Oh my God. I wish I could give you a hug right now. I'm so sorry that
I hate you had to see it. Now, one more clip. This is a guy who actually worked, or not worked, but he actually had class with the shooter, and he's talking about what kind of person he was or whatnot. And I want you all to pay attention, because here's the thing. Does anyone, some of you youngsters, you probably won't know anything about this, but for the O-heads in the chat, how many of you remember that Virginia Tech shooting? And also, Easy, beloved, thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. How many of you remember? Hold on, it looks like this video doesn't want to play. Okay, so I'm going to play it on my phone. But anyway, here's the question. How many of you remember the Virginia Tech shooting? Okay, now remember that guy who did it, he was an Asian guy, I forget his name, but shot 33 people, I believe it was. You know, one of my favorite poets, rest in peace to Nikki Giovanni, she was a professor there, and she had warned the administrators about this young man. She said that he was going to do something to hurt people one day. Now, how did she know this? Well, she knew because she had a poetry class, or he attended one of her classes, and he wrote some very dark poetry that led her to feel that he had something psychologically wrong and that he was dangerous. And, you know, they should have listened to her. They just blew her off properly, thinking, girl, you're a poet. You're not a psychiatrist or whatever. I don't know what they were thinking, but they didn't heed her warning, and they really should have, because one thing I know is, because I'm a poet too. Of course, you guys know that because I write rap music. That's the same thing. It's just poetry over beats. But the bottom line is, anyone who's a poet knows, and this is how the feds know that the rap lyrics are true in some of these cases as well, because anyone who's a poet knows that you write from the heart. You write your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. You write your experiences. You draw from things that you've gone through, your struggles, you know, just things like that. So you write what's on your mind and what's in your heart. So if somebody's writing crazy dark poetry about blood dripping from someone's chest and, you know, opened wounds, and just saying crazy stuff that makes no sense, well, it might behoove you to get the hell out of there. Okay, because this is all nefarious. And so that's what she was trying to tell them. That's right. D Major says poets are emotional beings. Exactly. Okay, so I find it all very interesting. But hold on, let me see if I can get this to play on my phone. It's only like a minute and a half, but I want you all to hear what he says, how this guy was in class.
Understand you were in an extracurricular group with the suspected gunman a few years ago, and that he may have been kicked out of that group. Can you just give us some insight? Why exactly was he maybe kicked out here?
For sure. So, a little background. This was a political talk group, you know, current events of the day. And he had continually made enough people uncomfortable where, you know, certain people had stopped coming. And that's kind of when we reached the breaking point with Phoenix, and we had asked him to leave.
And what exactly, if you can remember, what exactly was he saying that made people uncomfortable, as you say?
You know, it's been a couple years now. I can't give exact quotes, but you know, whether it was in that club or in class, he you know, talked about the ravages of multiculturalism and communism and how it's ruining America.
And you know, I should mention, we have not been able to independently confirm the claims about the beliefs he espoused, but you know, that's why we're talking to some folks like you who, you know, may have known him longer than we have, certainly. Another student who was in the group, I should mention too, said the suspect wasn't radical, but tended to make more conservative positions and views, adding, quote, he was pretty normal, he was pretty nice. How do you respond to that? Could that fit into sort of your experience with him as well?
So, it honestly sounds like the student is describing me normal and conservative, but I wholeheartedly disagree. That, you know, he wasn't. You know, he went beyond conservatism. So I disagree.
All right, so y'all heard it clearly. Somebody who's very disturbed, shall I say, for lack of a better term. And you know, I wonder if you all noticed this, that these not serial killers, these well, really them too, but specifically these mass shooters, do you all notice that they have a very similar look to them? Okay, do you all know this? They have a very very much, I don't know, they all just have this weird look about themselves. This is just my opinion, something that I noticed, okay? And they also look like incels, okay? I'm sorry, that's what they look like, and specifically him. Okay, so, I mean, no shade, but that's just how they look to me, and I think that's part of the problem. I think these people are actually frustrated because they can't get women. They're attractive deficient. Thank you, Juju, for using my phrase. Yes, they just are very socially awkward. Okay, they just don't know how to. They're usually introverts and things like that. They just have very strange behaviors, in my opinion. Now, listen to this. So, okay, 2 weeks before the semester's end, just as seniors were gearing up for graduation, 2 people were killed and 5 others injured when the suspect, a student at the university and the son of a local sheriff's deputy, opened fire. Dion Frio is no stranger to the reality of how gun violence can tear a community apart. Thursday's shooting comes 7 years after the bloodbath in Parkland, Florida, when a mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School killed 17 people and wounded 17 others, ripping the community apart. Wow. Scrambling to dodge bullets. As the university went into lockdown, students and staff received emergency alerts urging them to shelter in place. Inside the buildings, students crouched beneath desks, texting loved ones in fear. In one classroom, they piled desks against the door in an attempt to barricade themselves. These poor students, can you imagine? This is really like, do y'all ever really picture these things when they happen? Because I do. I just can like visualize the whole thing. Chaotic scenes, people scared for their lives, running, hiding under desks, putting desk against the door. You know what I'm saying? Just not knowing what to do, honey. This is all so scary. So with that all being said, Sam Swartz, a senior at the university, was forced to rely on his high school training for responding to school shootings. Now, he hunkered down with other students in the basement of the student union during the attack, hoping to hide it out. Swartz and his group quickly pushed trash cans and plywood into place. Honey, I'd have gotten in the trash can. Forget pushing it. Okay, I would have literally gotten inside that damn trash can. Do y'all hear me? Who's looking in the trash can where they're on a mass shooting spree? I bet you they wouldn't look there. Well, you know, maybe now they will because I ran my mouth. But I'm just saying, if it were me, honey, I would have hidden in the trash can right at the end of the day. Honey, you got to do what you got to do. Now, the makeshift barrier was a deliberate tactic Swartz remembered from high school, saying that the best thing to do is to try and deter the shooter. Their goal is to always just to try and shoot as many people as possible. So if you can try and delay that, you're pretty good. Honey, I would have been pretty good in that damn trash can. Please pay attention. Now, I heard commotion here before, but it didn't really register until I saw a bunch of people just running to the exit. Now, I want y'all to pay attention because this is a white man saying this, okay? A white student. He's saying that he has seen and heard commotion before, but it didn't register to him to start running. It didn't register until he saw people running towards the exit. Let me tell y'all something. I don't need to see a group of people running towards the exit. All I need to see is one or two people running anywhere. And I'm running right along with them. Now, where we're going to and why we're running, we can find all that out and settle up the, get all the specifics later. But y'all know darn well Black people will haul ass in a New York minute as soon as we see anybody else running. If you don't believe me, just go out into a crowd and bust out running and see if all the Black people don't follow you, okay? And some of them will pass you and be waiting for you at the other end of the street talking about what's going on. Okay, so please pay attention. Y'all know how we get down, honey, okay? I'm sorry. We'd be out of there, okay? We'd be out like a light, and that's no joke. But this is really sad, at the end of the day, condolences to anyone that lost their life or was injured. Now, let's talk about the suspect's mother. FSU shooting suspect was son of sheriff's deputy, and gun use and shooting belonged to her, according to authorities. Now, one could say, why didn't she have the gun secured? But this guy was 20 years old. Why would she think that she needed to? Is it her fault that her son's crazy? Because I saw some of y'all saying she needs to be charged, but is it her fault that he's, a mass shooter? It could be, I don't know. So the shooter who killed 2 people and injured 5 others in a mass shooting at Florida State University was the son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy, okay, who was deeply embedded in law enforcement in the community. Leon County Sheriff Walter McNeil identified the shooter as Phoenix Ickner, okay, during a press conference Thursday, nearly 5 hours after the shooting began outside the university student union building. Ickner, 20 years old, allegedly used his mother's handgun in the shooting. Now, unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons. McNeil said the shooter was deeply embedded in the sheriff's department's community and that his mother, a deputy, has been with the department for 18 years. Now, Ickner is believed to be a student at Florida State University, according to Police Chief Jason Trumbauer. And the shooting began at around 11:50 a.m. local time, according to authorities. Now, Trumbauer, the FSU police chief, said responding officers neutralized Ickner at the scene and took him into custody. The shooter did not comply with officers and was shot. Okay, police said Ickner was taken to a local hospital for treatment. Now, I want you all to pay attention. He was shot, but hey, non-life-threatening injuries. I mean, they didn't shoot him 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20 times. That's what they didn't do. Okay, but they will shoot a person who looks like me that many times and more at a traffic stop. Okay, or if you're asleep in your car because you left the club late and felt like it was unsafe for you to drive home. So you dozed off. Or maybe you were tipsy and knew you shouldn't drive home, but didn't want to leave your car and felt you just sleep it off in your car. They'll shoot you 76 to 90 times. It's happened. Look it up. I reported on it. So I'm just saying, it's amazing to me that these people who are murderers, domestic terrorists, always seem to make it out alive when they look like this. Okay? All right, please pay attention. This stuff really irks me. That's all I'm saying. So, with that all being said, 5 victims were still receiving treatment Thursday afternoon, according to authorities. The 2 victims who died at the scene were not students. Like I said, prayers for their speedy recoveries. This is very sad. I hate to hear stuff like this, no matter who are the victims. Okay, so now with that all being said, honey, let's talk about Diddy. Because do y'all know what Diddy is up to? Diddy is, you know what? Diddy is starting to remind me of a cockroach. You just can't get rid of him. Please pay attention. Diddy said he ain't going nowhere. All right, y'all heard the lyrics to his song, but here's what he has to say. Now, Diddy is pretty much demanding that they exclude Cassie, the Cassie video from the trial. Okay, he's not trying to hear it, and he's pretty much asked them not to use it. And of course, because he knows it's prejudicial. Now, mind you, anybody that's a potential juror has likely already seen it more than once. Sean Diddy Combs formally asked the judge overseeing his criminal prosecution on Thursday to exclude one of the more dramatic pieces of evidence from his upcoming trial. Now, and that's the March 2016 video from the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles that depicts him kicking and dragging then-girlfriend Cassie. The defense asserted that CNN, which first obtained and aired the video, altered, manipulated, sped up, and edited the footage such that it is wholly inaccurate and inadmissible. CNN has said that it never altered the video and did not destroy the original copy of the footage, as the defense has alleged. The more complete footage of the incident, in contrast to the government's sensationalized CNN cut, contradicts the government's representations. Now, this is what defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro wrote in a court filing last November, first alleging that the tape had been manipulated. Now, Combs apologized after the video came out. And see, Diddy's a fool because he was so busy trying to do damage control. He should never have given that fake apology because, for one, it didn't do him any favors. Nobody believed it. Okay, nobody believed it. Jeff said that ninja is a cockroach. Okay, absolutely. Okay, thank you, beloved. Thank you for your contribution to the topic and your insight. Peace, love, and blessings. So with that all been said, had Diddy not ever copped to it, you know, he could have just lied and said it was AI. I mean, y'all know so much AI stuff is going on around here, but he's already confessed at this point. And so now he wants to say, oh, you know, it is altered. And he talked about hitting rock bottom and all that. So now the defense asked the judge to hold a hearing at which a forensic video analyst would testify that the video is not a fair and accurate reflection of the actions depicted. Federal prosecutors have yet to respond in court papers. Now, they've previously pointed to the video as evidence of S-trafficking Cassie for a freak-off, in which she was forced to engage in S-acts with male prostitutes. Here's the thing. I want y'all to pay attention to something. Now, I told you all this. There's one thing that's going to work against Diddy. Now, there's plenty of things that's going to work against him, but there's one particular thing that y'all heard it here first. Okay, I told you all months ago, at least 2, that one thing that's going to work against Diddy is clearly, okay, and this isn't alleged. This is definitely going to work against Diddy. It's a fact. When Cassie walks up in there with that big stomach, okay, pregnant as she is, and here's the thing. I looked into it because Diddy's asking for an extension today at the hearing they're having, which we're going to tune into. But Diddy asked for an extension for 2 months. That's not going to be long enough time for Cassie to go into labor. Cassie's baby's not due till sometime in the early fall. Okay, so that's going to not be a good look for him. Jurors are going to have sympathy and empathy for her, especially if they see that video and Diddy knows it. That's why he's desperately trying to get them not to allow it in, you know, as evidence. Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the flip side of that. If they do allow that video footage in as evidence, and I told you all this months ago, well, if Diddy gets convicted, they're going to use that for his appeal. Because Diddy is determined that if y'all even do convict him, honey, he's going to try to get him out of there on some sort of technicality. And I've told you all for months now that he's been plotting this. Okay, this is the plan. I can see it a mile away. Okay, all of these motions they're filing, this is all going to be used for his appeal, and they know it. That's why they keep filing so many nefarious motions. Okay, but that's not all. By the way, the feds have opposed him, and we're going to get to that in a moment. Because remember the other day when they were asking for more time and they made the allegations that the prosecutors, the reason they needed more time, more than 2 weeks, the judge gave them 2 weeks, but they need 2 months, they say, because the prosecutors have basically been withholding trial evidence or have not been turning over trial evidence in a timely manner, a timely fashion. And, you know, things, specifically materials related to the superseding indictment that he just got. Okay. So, but here's the thing. Diddy wants Cassie's receipts. Okay. Diddy wants her bank book. I'm sorry, her bank statements and her book. And she's pretty much telling the judge to tell Diddy to kick rocks. She's trying to block him from getting that. Cassie says Diddy is fishing around, demanding she turn over her bank statements and a book that she wrote about him. And she wants a judge to put the kibosh on his legal request. Now, according to legal documents obtained by TMZ, Cassie is trying to get the court to kill a subpoena that she claims she was served by Diddy's legal team. Cassie says Diddy sent her a subpoena March 19th demanding she turn over all draft memoirs, autobiographies, narratives, diaries, journals, or notes, and any communications about plans to publish or threaten to publish such a document. Here's the thing. Now, I told you all Cassie was going to write that book. I told you all that over a year ago because, for one, when Diddy made that settlement with her, you know, by the guidelines in New York City, there was no, in New York, there was no non-disclosure agreement signed after his insurance companies decided to settle with her less than 24 hours later. There was no NDA, so that I told you all she could do a documentary, she could write a book, she could go do interviews or whatever. And looks like she's doing just that. So Diddy wants to know what the hell she's saying, because what I guarantee you Diddy's going to try to do is whatever's in that book that he wants to dispute or doesn't like the sounds of it, he's going to try to sue her for defamation. Please pay attention. Diddy is already, he thinks he's so slick. And also he wants to know what she's going to potentially say in the during the trial. Or when she goes up there to testify, he wants to read that book so he can see, you know, is she going to talk about this? Is she going to talk about that? Now, the subpoena is interesting on a couple of levels. Because earlier in Diddy's case, one of his attorneys, and that was Mr. Agnifilo, claimed that Cassie had told Diddy she had written a book about him that he could catch and kill for $30 million. Now, that is a fact. Diddy's attorneys did say that. If y'all remember, before Diddy got that lawsuit from Cassie, or right after he got the lawsuit, I believe it was. Remember they said that Cassie had tried to extort them for 6 months? Do you all remember that? They said Cassie was trying to extort them for 6 months. Okay, Gwendolyn says, yes, Queen, you said Cassie was writing a book. Yes, because they said that she had been trying to extort them for 6 months. And that basically she told them unless they gave her the $30 million, she was going to write a book and tell everything. So they did say that. So I'm just curious, how long has this book been written? That's interesting. Now, anyway, goes on to say that she could get the $30 million. They could pay her the money in order for her not to publish it. Thing is, Agnifilo claimed that Diddy balked at the alleged offer. He did, and that's why she filed that lawsuit. He claims Cassie switched attorneys, and her new attorney told Diddy in November of 2023 that the book was no longer important because a civil SEX case was going to be filed. Now, as you know, Cassie ended up suing Diddy, of course, and then she got the settlement. So in regards to Diddy's subpoena, Cassie says his requests here are premature and way too broad, and she wants a court to kill the whole thing. Well, so anyway, I find it all interesting. There are some harsh things that's going to come out of this trial, and I just want you all to pay attention. All right, there are some harsh things that's going to come out of this trial. Let me just tell you some of the things going to come out. First of all, and I think I've told you all this before, the thing is, it's not going to be a good look. Now, this is just my opinion. It's not going to be a good look because here's what I've been hearing out there in the streets now. There has been some talk that some of these S workers, and I want y'all to pay attention, honey, because the Queen told you this first. Y'all heard it here first, but now a very, very reliable source said that, in fact, sorry. I was looking at something. Okay, but so anyway, here's the thing. A very reliable source has said that some of these S workers have already said they've already flipped for Diddy, not against. Now, I told you all that was going to happen, because why would that happen? Because like I told you, if they sit up there and say that Cassie was forced to do those things, that she was coerced, that she was manipulated, forced, whatever, that it was not consensual, okay, that they're now putting that on them. And even if they're not charged with it, the fact of the matter is you're admitting that you're a rapist in front of a jury and people in the courtroom. Okay. So with that all being said, I was not surprised to hear that. Okay. Vince I Am said, like the original wig says, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. You are nefarious. But so anyway, you know, that's going to be one of the things, because what are these people going to say? Because here's the thing. Think about it. Cassie has already admitted in her own lawsuit, these are her words, not Diddy's, but she already said that she was the one that was in charge of calling these people, picking out these people. Diddy told her what he wanted. Black men with big black cucumbers and the white nail polish. So the contrast on those big black cucumbers and all that. She's the one who spoke to the people. She's the one who picked out the people. She's the one who told them what time it was, the pay and all of that. So how's that going to look? How are they going to explain that? Well, you know, that's for the defense to decide. But at the end of the day, the defense is going to tear into her upon cross-examination with that bit of information, as well as much other things that I've already mentioned to you. But specifically that, they're going to argue, how is it that you were trafficked and that you were forced and none of this was consensual when you were the ones that called, and you were the one that called and initiated these interactions? You picked out the people who you were going to sleep with in the freak-offs between you and Mr. Combs. And in some of the video footage, Mr. Combs is not even engaging. He's just sitting there recording and watching and, you know, having a good time with himself. So I just want y'all to be ready for it, because it's going to be real messy. Okay. And y'all know it's going to be real messy. But anyway, so yeah, Diddy wants to keep that out. But let's talk about this document. Now I'm going to share this on the screen because basically, you know, the feds have pretty much opposed Diddy's filing that he sent in a couple of days ago. Now, dear Judge Subramanian, the government respectfully submits this letter in opposition to the defendant's application, which is replete with mischaracterizations, to adjourn the May 5th, 2025 trial date. Now, the defendant's proffered basis for speaking or for seeking such an adjournment is allowing Mr. Combs the necessary time to prepare his defense for the third superseded indictment and resolve victim 4's evidentiary issue. Now, as preferred during the conference on April the 14th of 2025, the defendant has tested out various bases for an adjournment request over the past week, including purported speedy trial concerns and newly asserted discovery issues. Now, these shifting explanations denote anything or denote nothing more than gamemanship. And if you remember the other day, I told you that he was accused of gamemanship, which means basically trying to turn the cards in your favor, you know, by complaining or trying to use stall tactics or whatever, or doing things that are not unethical, but could be viewed as unfair, you know, okay, but it's not really, it is a little unethical, but it's not illegal, or it's not outside the bounds of criminal procedure. Okay. So with that all being said, gamemanship is what they've accused him of. They say, likewise, the latest iteration of the defendant's evolving request is unsupported by any legal authority and should be rejected outright. An adjournment of any length should be denied. Now, see, here's where the feds are effing up. I'm telling you all right now, hey, Serena, right now, I'm telling you, the feds are effing up with this. And why are they? Because here's the thing. Diddy can come back if he is convicted. They can absolutely use this and make a good argument. Now, this is just my opinion. Upon appeal. You know, they can say they didn't have time to properly prepare for trial. Diddy can then say he had ineffective or inadequate counsel. He could just say a myriad of things, okay? I want you all to pay attention. And so they're asking for this to be denied. I would give it to him if I were them, so that when they win and Diddy is convicted, he can't say that it wasn't fair. He can't throw his hands in the air and cry foul, okay? But they're opposing it. So anyway, Contrary to the defendant's letter, the third superseding indictment adding a substantive trafficking count for victim 2 is not substantially new conduct, and it provides no basis for an adjournment. As early as the defendant's initial bail arguments, during which the government quoted the victim 2's messages to the defendant, blank, the government has consistently described victim 2 as a victim of S trafficking. Additionally, the government's search warrant applications, all of which were included in its first production of discovery, the first superseding indictment returned by the grand jury on January the 30th of 2025 also explicitly alleged the defendant's S trafficking of victim 2 as racketeering activity. Now, when the government learned for the first time on March the 24th of 2025 about blank, the government acted swiftly to present this limited new evidence to the grand jury, which returned the superseding indictment or the third indictment on April the 4th of 2025. Courts in this district routinely deny adjournment requests in such circumstances, denying trial adjournment when defendant was on notice of additional charges in superseding indictment for a month before the superseding indictment was returned, and defendant had 32 days after the filing of the superseding indictment to prepare for trial. Denying requests for continuance when government obtained a superseding indictment, expanding the time period of a drug conspiracy charge and adding an additional transaction 26 days before trial. Okay, then they reference cases and whatnot or whatever. The cases the defendant cites do not merit a different conclusion. Where there is no prejudice to the defendant from a superseding indictment, as is the case here, where the conduct underlying count 4 of the superseding indictment has been long known to the defendant and was already charged as a racketeering predicate in count 1 months ago, the Speedy Trial Act does not require a 30-day continuance for trial preparation. Okay, so anyway, recognizing that the Supreme Court has made clear that there is no inherent right to a 30-day continuance following the filing of a superseding indictment and granting continuance where superseding indictment extended time period of the conspiracy and added overt acts. So grasping at straws. They didn't say Diddy was grasping at straws, did they? Grasping at straws, the defendant's claim that an adjournment is required because discovery is incomplete is as disingenuous as it is weak. On March 24th of 2025, victim 2 disclosed to the government in sum and substance that blank. The government apprised the defense of this new evidence, okay, contemporaneously by disclosing notes of the victim 2 interview the next day and informing the defendant that it anticipated producing additional related Rule 16 discovery. Despite these timely productions and despite representing to the court that there was nothing to raise regarding victim 2 discovery following conferrals with the government, the defendant now argues that the additional productions require an adjournment. The deficient discovery the defendant cites, however, consisted of 1, approximately 236 media files, photographs, and videos produced on March 28th of 2025, and 2, approximately 22 photographs of blank, 5 of which the government received on April the 14th of 2025, the remainder of which the government received on April 15th of 2025, and all of which were produced to the defendant on April 15th of 2025. So basically saying that, look, dude, you got it the same day we got it. So please sit down somewhere. You're not getting any more time if we can have anything to say about it. Now, they presented this to the defendant April 15, 2025, with accompanying cover emails making clear when the government came into possession of the photographs. It is far-fetched to suggest that the government is still producing discovery. This extremely limited additional discovery related to the third superseding or the third indictment provides no basis for an adjournment of the trial, and the defendant cites no law suggesting otherwise. So, basically, I'm not going to read through all of this, but basically they're saying no. All right. They're saying they're not here for Diddy. We don't want to give you any more time. Okay. That's just the gist of it. So anyway, what do you all think? I know, right? Vince I am said, what's up with the redactions? I know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. What's really going on here? Okay. So now let's talk about Luigi Maggiani. They're trying to give this man the death penalty. And that low down, nefarious attorney general The U.S. Attorney General that Trump has hired, Pam Bondi is her name. Well, she's determined that she wants to have this man on death row. I mean, she literally was smiling when she said it. She had a thrill of victory already on her face. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Luigi Maggiani indicted on federal charges in United Healthcare CEO's killing. I'm going to share my screen and go to the footage. And he has an indictment. I'll go over that. It's like 4 pages.
To seek the death penalty in Luigi Mangioni's murder trial. Mangione is accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in broad daylight in New York last December, just a few blocks from where we're sitting. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state charges. He has not yet been arraigned on any federal charges. An attorney for Mangione called the Attorney General's direction, quote, barbaric. Anna Schechter is our CBS News crime and public safety reporter. And she joins us now. So Mangione's lawyers say this is political. What do you make of it?
Well, it certainly looks political when you think about the timing. Why is Pam Bondi putting out this press release yesterday? We already knew that one of those federal charges could carry the death penalty. On January 20th, the White House put out a statement saying Trump wants to reinstate the death penalty. And then last month, Pam Bondi issued a directive to all Department of Justice employees saying that she wants to revive the death penalty as a deterrent for Bondi for a deterrent for the most heinous crimes. So to me, you know,
let me tell you all something right now. This woman is a devil. She would do anything to appease Trump. And at the end of the day, she has no heart or no humanity, and neither does Trump. The bottom line is she's talking about a deterrent, using the death penalty as a deterrent. Now, if you all remember, for those of you that tuned in on the day that I read to you my capstone paper that I wrote before graduating college for criminal justice, shout out to me. No, but seriously, when I read that to you all, one of the things that I brought forth as my argument against the death penalty, okay, which got me an A+, by the way. But one of the things that I brought up, the main thing I argued was that the death penalty is not a deterrent. Okay, there are many reasons to argue against it, but one of the main things is it's inhumane. We already know that. Okay, it goes against the Eighth Amendment for cruel and inhumane punishment. And it is not a deterrent, okay, because it is a known fact, and there's statistics and studies that have shown that states that have the death penalty have the highest likelihood for murder, okay? So that shows and goes to prove that people are not deterred from committing murder. They're not deterred from committing murder because of no death penalty. And you know why that isn't a deterrent for murder? Because murderers, okay, they are impulsive most of the time. Most of the time, people didn't plan to kill somebody. They just get so mad, can't control themselves. Something happens and they're so irate, they just do it. They don't say, oh, you know what? If I do this, I might be on death row. They don't think like that. Murderers always think that they're going to get away with it. And even if they don't think they're going to get away with it at the time that they do it, 9 times out of 10, they're not even thinking about getting caught. They're more focused on the anger or whatever is inside of them that is provoking them to have even the thought of committing such a heinous crime. So these things, this is not a deterrent. Trust me when I tell you, okay? And not to mention that there's a probability of someone being wrongfully convicted and then an innocent person being executed. These things have actually happened. Now, they're not going to tell us that it's happened, but of course it has. There's been people since 1978 until 2009, in that time frame, 208 people exonerated from death row. Now, of course, there's more current stats, but that's the one I specifically remember because that's the one I used when I was in college. So with that all being said, it just goes to show that if this system, It's prone to making mistakes, prone to error. The judicial system is not fair. There are more people who look like me on death row than anybody, even though we're not the ones that commit most of the murders, and that's a fact too. So that being said, and poor people are targeted for death penalties. So this is not a good idea, and I'm totally against it. But let's continue.
Those of us who have been covering this and following this so closely, we knew that that was on the table. So
it was already on the table. Like, why come out and say this?
Well, it was already on the table because I told you all that months ago. But here's the thing. Pam Bondi came out and said it because she wants to invoke and stoke fear. Okay, that's what Trump's administration is all about, fear mongering. Okay, everything they're doing is crazy as hell, and they know it. And they want to talk about how the Democrats were fear mongering, but no, that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, Vince I Am says, shout out to past Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Vince, you are something else. Okay, Claudette says she's against the death penalty. Yes, absolutely. And this young man is 26 years old. Now, yes, he is a killer. One could even say he's a cold-blooded killer, but guess what? So was the man he killed. Y'all don't think that man was a cold-blooded killer? Sure he was. Okay, when you deny insurance claims and you don't want to pay for people's medical treatment, you know that they needed to live, you know that they need certain medications or whatever, specific surgeries or different things that they need to live, and you deny it because you want to save money for your company, yeah, that's murder too, as far as I'm concerned. But let's continue.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's supposed to go to he's going to trial for the state case before the federal case happens, but could this announcement change things?
Well, let's see if the Department of Justice steps in and actually tries to go first. Right now, there's historically been tension between the Southern District of New York and the Manhattan DA's office. Anything that happens in New York, because it's a bit of a turf war. So Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney, he filed those charges. He arraigned Mangione. Mangione pleaded not guilty. In the federal case, I think a lot of people have forgotten, he hasn't even been arraigned on those charges yet. So he has not even pled out. And those, put in a plea, those hearings keep getting delayed. So now we're waiting until April 18th. All eyes will be on that date. Let's see what happens at that next hearing. You're right. His attorney calls this barbaric and calls this, she's been for a very kind of parental almost in her treatment of him in court. It's been a really interesting thing to watch play out.
It's so interesting that it would seem political, or has been accused of being political, because the politics of whether you support Mangione and his cause and what you think of healthcare in this country, it seems like that's all over the map. It's quite bipartisan, but it sounds like Pam Bondi thinks she sees a path. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Thank you so much, Anna. Of course.
Okay, so now with that all being said, I thought that I had that clip of Pam Bondi because she was talking big trash, you know, and she is definitely a Trumpster. Okay, absolutely she is. She is definitely a Trumpster through and through. I mean, he knew what he was doing when he picked her, is all I'm saying. But so now with that all being said, we're going to go to Diddy's court case in just a moment. Let me see if I can find that clip of Bondi. Okay, matter of fact, before I get into that, let's just go through this arraignment and what his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, filed. Okay, and that's Mangione, because you know Mark Agnifilo's wife was initially working on the case, but now it looks like he's working on there too. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. We can go over this indictment because they're still waiting outside the court for Diddy. So we'll get to that in a second. Okay, now that being said, count one, the grand jury charges from at least on or about November 24 of 2024 up to and including on or about December 4th of 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. Luigi Nicholas Mangione, the defendant, traveled in interstate commerce with the intent to kill, injure, harass, intimidate, and place under surveillance with intent to kill, injure, harass, and intimidate another person, and in the course of and as a result of such travel engaged in conduct that placed that person in a reasonable fear of the death. of and serious bodily injury to that person, and in the course of engaging in such conduct, caused the death of that person, to wit, Maggione traveled across state lines via an interstate bus line for the purpose of stalking and killing Brian Thompson. And while in New York, Maggione stalked and then shot and killed Thompson in the vicinity of West 54th Street and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. Count 2. The grand jury further charges that from at least on or about November 24th of 2024 up to and including on or about December the 4th of 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Luigi Maggione, the defendant, with the intent to kill, injure, harass, intimidate, and place under surveillance with intent to kill, injure, harass, and intimidate another person, used an electronic communication service and electronic communication system of interstate commerce and another facility of interstate and foreign commerce to engage in a course of conduct that placed that person in reasonable fear of the death of and serious bodily injury to that person, and in the course of engaging in such conduct caused the death of that person, to wit, Maggione used a cell phone, interstate wires, interstate highways, a hostel that serves interstate customers, and the internet to plan and carry out stalking, shooting, and killing of Brian Thompson in the vicinity of West 54th Street and 6th Avenue, Manhattan. Now, grand jury further charges on or about December the 4th of 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Luigi Nicholas Maggione, the defendant, during and in relation to crimes of violence for which he may be prosecuted in a court of the United States, namely the stalking offenses charged in counts 1 and 2 of this indictment, knowingly used and carried a firearm in the furtherance of such crimes, possessed a firearm, and in the course of those crimes caused the death of a person through the use of a firearm, which killing is murder as defined in Title 18, United States Code, Section 1111A, to wit, Maggione shot and killed Brian Thompson in the vicinity of West 54th and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. Special findings regarding the murder of Brian Thompson. Now, count 3 of the indictment is realleged and incorporated by reference as though fully set forth herein. As to count 3, alleging murder through the use of a firearm stemming from the December 4th, 2024 murder of Brian Thompson, Luigi Maggione, the defendant, was 18 years of age and older at the time of the offense, intentionally killed Brian Thompson, intentionally inflicted serious bodily injury that resulted in the death of Brian Thompson, intentionally participated in an act contemplating that the life of a person would be taken, or intending that lethal force would be used in connection with a person other than one of the participants in the offense, and Brian Thompson died as a direct result of the act. Now, intentionally and specifically engaged in an act of violence, knowing that the act created a grave risk of death to a person other than one of the participants in the offense, such that participation in the act constituted a reckless disregard for human life, and Brian Thompson died as a result of the act. In commission of the offense, knowingly created a grave risk of death to one and more persons in addition to the victim of the offense. Committed the offense after substantial planning and premeditation to cause the death of Brian Thompson. Count 4. The grand jury, do I really need to read all this? Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, so count 4. On or about December the 4th in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Luigi Nicholas Maggione, the defendant, during and in relation to crimes. Okay, this is all being repetitive. They just basically go on to say in this part that he possessed a firearm which was brandished and discharged and was equipped with a silencer, no less. So as a result of committing the offenses charged in counts 3 and 4 of this indictment, Luigi Nicholas Maggione, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18, United States Code Section 924D1 and Title 28, United States Code Section 2461C, any and all firearms and ammunitions involved in or used in said offenses. Okay, so they want this man to have the death penalty. Like I said, which I don't agree with. But again, it's not up to me. And so Mark Agnifilo filed, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Now, while I'm pulling this up, let me check real quick and see if they started with a Diddy, so we can get the scoop around here. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Let me pull up my plug who gets the inside information when Diddy goes to court. Okay, let me see what they got here. Okay, so here's the thing. It started 3 minutes ago. They said, okay, now U.S. versus Sean Combs hearing on Diddy delay of the trial bid and discovery issues, victim 4. Okay, so they're about to discuss the issues of victim 4. Okay, so one post thus far. So good. We have time to read this filing by Mark Agnifilo. Dear Judge Ramos, we are in receipt of the government's letter dated April 14th of 2024 in response to Mr. Maggioni's motion filed April 11th of 2024. We submit this letter in reply as an initial matter. The government has not contested any of the facts set out in our motion. Instead, the government makes the following assertions. 1, that the defendant's motion is not ripe as the case is not yet indicted. And 2, that the defendant cannot dictate the manner in which the government presents evidence to the grand jury. We will address these issues below. So it says the government has not responded to the 4 points raised in defendant's motion. Number 1, ordering the Attorney General to certify that she read Local Rule 23.1. 2, restraining the Attorney General from making extrajudicial statements in violation of Rule 23.1. Okay, ordering the government to produce for in-camera inspection any documents from the Southern District of New York and the Attorney General's consideration of the death penalty, and ordering the government to reduce documents of communications between the government and anyone advocating for any particular sentence by or on behalf of any business, corporate interest, lobbying, or other party directly or indirectly. The government argues that the court should not take action, not because the government offers facts contrary to those advanced by the defense, but because the matter is not ripe for adjudication as it is a grand jury matter. However, this court retains what the Supreme Court has called a supervisory authority on the administration of justice. Okay, this supervisory authority is not limited to the inside of the federal courtroom. Rather, it extends to eliminating prejudicial extrajudicial statements that may affect the grand juries who sit in this district and whose indictments will be heard by this court. Okay, so this was obviously, I don't really think I need to go on with this because this was likely written or filed before Maggioni's indictment came out. Okay. Yeah, this was filed a day before the indictment. So no need to read this because he was basically, Maggioni doesn't want to die. And of course, who does? But at the end of the day, he was basically asking the judge to not allow this nefarious attorney general to give him the death penalty. And so that's what he basically was asking for. And, of course, his attorneys don't want him to die. So with that all being said, it looks like that's what he's going to be headed for because she blatantly said that Trump wants them. Now, I want you all to pay attention because this was very telling to me about Trump's mindset. Trump is the devil. She basically said in so many words that Trump has instructed her to give the death penalty, to put it on the table anytime that they can. Anytime she can get the death penalty on the table, honey, bring it on. Is what she said Trump told her. Okay. So I find it all so interesting. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go to Inner City News so we can keep up with the post about Diddy and this hearing. Now, so far, it's just one post from 7 minutes ago. While we're sitting here waiting ever so patiently to see what's going to happen, who's this coming up in my chat all late? Who's coming up in my chat all late? Y'all don't come up. Let me tell y'all something. Listen, Queen Sam. Don't come in here at 11:15 talking about greetings to everyone and much love to the queendom when you know that you're beyond late. Okay, young lady? With that all being said, now you're going to have to catch us on the replay because we don't have time for your shenanigans. Okay? Well, you know what, Leon, that's true. Why are y'all laughing? I'm so serious. No, I'm joking. But Leon says they believe in killing. Yes, they absolutely do. Okay, they absolutely do. Queen Sam, you know I love you. Okay, now with that all being said, while we're waiting, let me go ahead and throw y'all on some music. Y'all know how we do on here. And this is Nessie. Nessie X said, Queen, you're so silly. I know it, honey. I can't help myself. So with that all being said, let me give y'all some music. And in the meantime, I'm going to see if I can find that Pam Bondi video. Okay, and this is my own original music, so we don't have to worry about copyrights. This is old school.
Lights shining down in the moonlight, but I can't help but feel this connection flow with every move. Too long on the floor, when you smile, makes me want more. Heartbeat and sing at the sound of soul. Tonight we dance, just lose control. I can't resist the way you move. It's been a bliss. Your eyes gazing on like the stars above. This night is ours, wrapped in our love. The band is playing a melody sweet, can't help but feel the rhythm in my feet. Even right there, like the earth is spinning. All those to dance, where we both live. You got that groove. But don't worry, here's a do this.
All right. Now, with that all being said, Mama Jocelyn said, do they even make music like this anymore? I miss the good old days. Honey, I miss them too. That's why I made that song, honey. They don't make it like that anymore, beloved, so you got to do it yourself. Please pay attention. Okay, so no info on Diddy as of yet. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Now listen to this. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is from 2 minutes ago. Sean Combs is brought in by U.S. Marshals. He hugs his lawyer, blows kisses at the gallery. Proceeding has still not begun as of 11:17. Thread will continue below. Okay, so we just got to stay posted. And then he says, thanks. Yes, I'm here at 11:18 waiting for the 11 a.m. proceeding to begin. Okay, so let's just sit tight for a second. I'm still looking for Pam Bondi. Where is that damn video? I could have sworn that I sent it to my email yesterday. Okay. What do y'all think? Cookie said, Queen, that song remind me of the 80s classic disco. I know, right? Thank you. But listen, what do you all think about Austin Metcalf's father showing up and trying to show out, honey, at the press conference yesterday. I mean, the nerve of it all. Okay, Sunset Night said the queen don't get enough credit. Thank you, beloved. They just dragged the poor little old queen. They do me dirty out here in these YouTube streets. Thank you for having my back, Sunset Nights. The rest of the royals are so nefarious. Jarpic said Diddy gonna get the death penalty too. Honey, I wish let me tell you something. If Diddy got the death penalty, if the death penalty was even on the table for Diddy, I promise you, Diddy would have escaped a long time ago, honey. Diddy wouldn't be sitting in that jail cell. What are y'all talking about? Honey, I promise you, Diddy would have gotten out of there some way, somehow, okay? Even if he had to get Mark Agnifilo and Tina Garrigus to put him inside their briefcase, honey, but who wouldn't be in that jail cell is Diddy, baby, because Diddy, honey, y'all think, y'all know what he said? Can't nobody hold me down, all right? Diddy said, oh, hell no. Not the death penalty for Diddy. Y'all are something else. His nefarious self. Can't nobody hold me now. That's what Diddy says. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? Diddy had it all. When we really think about it, Diddy had it all in the bag. Diddy had it all in the bag, y'all. And he fumbled the ball. Phantom said, Diddy getting the baby oil of death. Y'all are terrible. Truth Brown said, not put him in a briefcase. Oh, yes, honey. He'd have gotten out of there by any means necessary, okay? And y'all know he's slick enough to do it. Y'all know his lyrics. There's no guy slicker than this young fly nigga. Nickel nine nigga. Floss you die quicker. Okay? Isn't that what he said? Honey, Diddy be spitting lyrics, okay? Diddy's probably in there right now working on his next album because he swears he's getting out. Oh, honey, he swears he's getting out. But I'm telling y'all right now, if Diddy's ass gets out, y'all can kiss the queen goodbye, honey. I'm going to pack up my bags and I'm getting the hell off YouTube because guess what? If Diddy ever finds out that I was told by an insider, and he's going to know who told me, I promise you, if Diddy ever finds out who told me about that book, The Lesser Key of Solomon, with them 72 demons that he allegedly has been said to conjure up, and the stuff that's in that room at his house with the 7 rooms with the 7 deadly sins, honey, Diddy's gonna know exactly who told Queen that. And if he finds out who told me that, first of all, if he finds out that I even know and that I did a video about it, that's my ass in a sling. So I'm out of here because I'm scared of Diddy. Now I can talk all this trash because Diddy's behind bars. See, I'm like everybody else who's talking slick about Diddy. I'm only doing it because he's locked up, like Akon said. But if Diddy should walk free, honey, I'm out of here on the next thing smoking. Please pay attention, honey. I will not be in these YouTube streets, okay? People have been known to come up missing when Diddy's around, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, honey. I would have to duck and dodge, okay? Please pay attention, honey. I don't have time for any of it. All right? Please don't get it twisted. And y'all know Diddy don't like me. Okay, please. My last name is Shakur too. Yep, if it's 2 people Diddy can't stand right now other than his accusers, it's me and Jada Shakur. It's me and Jada Shakur, honey. He's got it in for us clearly. That's why I told y'all as quiet as it's kept. See, I knew. Remember that day I told you guys, I said if Diddy F's around and gets up out of there on a technicality or whatever, I'm going to pass out. Well, that's why I said that. And just to be on the safe side, I've already got my bags packed and a flight booked, okay, to Costa Rica. Find me if you can. Okay? All right. And just to be on the safe side, somebody better tell Nancy Drew to pack her a bag too as well. Okay? Because Diddy's going to be looking for her too. All right? Please pay attention. And as a matter of fact, he might be a bit more upset with Nancy Drew because she's got a whole hell of a lot more subscribers. And he's going back, you said all this about me to who? Child, we might have to get up out of Dodge for a while, honey, until the heat cools off. That's all I'm saying. Juju said, Queen, I'm spinning the block about you. Thanks, beloved. But I'll be off the block, okay? Above all that, Drum said, Queen, you don't have to run no place when you have friends in smoky places. Not smoky places. Sunset Night said, you can come to the Bay Area. We're going to protect you in the Bay. He ain't coming here. Okay, thank you, beloved. That's good to know, honey, because I might have to get up out of Dodge. Okay, y'all think I'm joking? But I promise you, Auntie Leah is so nefarious, talking about the fake Nancy Drew wig. Look at Terry Hen said, go to Cuba, Queen. Yeah, you know, I might just go over there. I might just have to do that, beloved. True Brown said, Queen, we would smoke Diddy's ace. Fan Thomas said, Queen, you can broadcast in Costa Rica from a boat. Not a boat. Tehran said, Diddy, don't smoke the Queen. Above all that drama said, Wigamina ain't about that life. Now, y'all need to quit because I wasn't trying to poke fun, and that's true. I'm literally giving her a lifeline. We might need to get the hell up out of here, okay? We might have to get up out of here. Cookie said wig is on her own. All are dirty. Okay, now listen. In all seriousness, did y'all know that Diddy and them, did y'all know that they supposedly, allegedly sent a letter to Sean Atwood and had him take down like 90% of his videos or whatever, all his Diddy content? Did you guys know that? One's in the chat if y'all knew that. I'm telling y'all, Diddy is not playing games. Sean Atwood might need to go back to the UK, honey, if Diddy gets out. That's all I'm saying. Truth Brown said, wig not about that life. She would piss herself if Diddy gets out. Fantomas said, is Aaron Hall still missing? Maybe he went to Costa Rica. You know what, beloved? I think that he might be over there with Russell Simmons. Let me type that in and see if he's still missing. Where is he? And where is Justin Combs? Did he ever show up? Oh my goodness, y'all. They said he reportedly is still missing in action. Hold on. No. I'm sorry. That's Aaron Pennington. Wrong, Aaron. Hold on. Okay, well, he's still missing, guys. It says that he's in fact been missing since what? No, this can't be true. Yeah, they said this man's been missing, y'all. They said he has been missing since he was named in that lawsuit back in 2023. Honey, he got the hell up out of Dodge real quick. Okay, so now here we go. All right, the latest update. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I'm reading these in order. Okay, judge says Combs now has 4 firms representing him. The motion for delay is denied. Ooh, honey, they said, Diddy, you got too many damn lawyers, honey. We ain't give you no more time. You got 4 of the best. Of the best? Nah, you're gonna get in here. Okay, so this said the motion for delay is denied. Next, the government is saying the evidence is relevant to the RICO charge. As for victim 5, the U.S. notice explains why victim 5's alleged abuse is probative and not outweighed. Well, Diddy, looks like they got you. All right, so the judge says, I am denying the request for an adjournment. The defense under seal is asking for 2 months, not 2 weeks. The issue about victim 4, it is not sufficient for 2 months adjournment. The new conduct is really isn't really new, as the U.S. points out. Now, okay, so that's what he said thus far. Diddy is here. I'm live tweeting. Luigi won't be here until next Thursday at 3 p.m. So we're going to tune in for Luigi too. Okay, because he's going to be reporting on that as well. DJ Big Six said any co-conspirators in the RICO case. Diddy has co-conspirators. We don't know who they are as of yet, but I'm willing to bet that Miss Janice Combs might be one of them. Because remember, I told you guys when they went after Diddy and said something about the money laundering and all that, and they started talking about shell companies and whatnot. I said, you know, Mace already exposed this years ago that Miss Janice Combs has all these things in her name, supposedly, and so does Justin. And if any of that money was ill-gotten, which I'm pretty sure it is or was, then, you know, she could be in some trouble too. I told y'all that. Okay. Diddy built his dream team, and that's why they're piling on. Right. Okay, Truth Brown said they're not playing with Diddy. The judge said, I'm tired of this ninja. Let's get this done. I know, right? I mean, no delays. Diddy, I'm ready for this. Okay, I've already got my people outside the courthouse waiting to gather receipts. Okay. So with that all being said, okay, hold on. Something else just came through. Wait a minute. Who is this he's talking about? On the Nixon and Tucker. Oh, he's talking about Nixon and Tucker. Okay, that's something else. Okay, so anyway, I guess that's the gist of that, because all we really need to know is, is there going to be an adjournment? The answer to that is no. So, sorry, Diddy. Yeah. Truth Brown says sentence him so Queen can relax and unpack. LOL. Okay. Police. Phantoma said Queen is on a jet with Justin Bieber to Costa Rica. Not Justin Bieber. Is he going to Costa Rica anytime soon? I might need to catch a flight for real. Okay, so anyway, you know, like I said, Luigi is going to be in court on Thursday, on next Thursday. So we'll tune in for that. And Pam Bondi, by the way, she actually claims that she received death threats for saying that she's going to give Luigi death threats. Okay. And, you know, at the end of the day, she said Trump told her to give out the death penalty. I mean, Trump wants her to hand out the death penalty like candy, apparently. Hold on, beloveds. Let me see. Here's what she had to say about Luigi. Now, I can't find the video, but I have this article. I really wanted this. Hold on. Hold on, beloveds. Hold on. Give me just a second here. Let me see if this is it right here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. This is Pam Bondi talking about signing some sort of agreement. I don't know if this is about Luigi, but let's see what she's talking about here.
We will not sign the resolution agreement. We do not have revisions or a counterproposal. We agree we are at an impasse. Nothing in Title IX or its implementing regulations prohibits schools from allowing transgender girls and women to participate on girls and women's sports teams.
Okay. Clearly, that's not it. Okay, now, so that all been said, let me see. Trump's response brings laughter at Pam Bondi's. She delivered a tough speech for the death penalty and criminals. Okay, let's go to this speech. And Trump, why are you laughing? Like, who thinks that's funny? Trump is such an idiot. I mean, clearly an idiot. Okay, you all please pay attention. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so with that all being said, you guys, that's not it. She's sitting up for talking about the fraud, waste, and abuse that Elon supposedly uncovered, but yet never showed us any receipts for, and just making a bunch of threats, basically, as her and Trump have been known to do. So with that all being said, I don't see that darn video. I wish I could have found it because I wanted you all to hear how she was talking all tough. But in other news, here is the article on it. Okay, Trump administration calls for death penalty for Luigi Mangione, signals a larger shift. All right, so President Trump's push for federal and state executions marks a new chapter in the shifting politics of the death penalty. Now, the Trump administration wants to put Luigi Mangione to death for fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, ending President Biden's moratorium on federal executions. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state charges, and his lawyers have told the court they oppose the federal push for the death penalty. Now, as NPR's Kristen Wright reports, Mangione's case is part of the shifting politics of capital punishment in the U.S. Under the Trump administration, Attorney General Pam Bondi is directing federal prosecutors to aggressively pursue the death penalty. That includes in the case against Luigi Mangione. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. This lady is all for it, okay? Now, Pam Bondi says this guy is charged with a violent crime. And yes, we're going to seek the death penalty whenever possible. I want you all to pay attention. That's what she said. She said Trump told her to do it. Said he told her to seek the death penalty whenever possible. Now, the question is, when is it ever possible? Well, I guess whenever they say so. Okay, now, Mangione appears to be the first high-profile case the Justice Department is tying to President Trump's Day 1 executive order that lifted President Biden's moratorium. See, Trump's doing all of this for political gain and power and for clout chasing. This is what Trump's doing. Okay, he wants to make a name for himself and be like, oh yeah, I sent him to the death penalty. Okay, at the end of the day, this is all about his executive order. Chantel says, love your commentary, Queen. Keep it coming. Louisiana is listening. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Thank you. Peace, love, and blessings. So, like I said, Trump is the devil, okay? And this woman, Pam Bondi, is one of his demons. All right. So anyway, goes on to say, he lifted Biden's moratorium. Okay, now, though Mangione has yet to be formally indicted by a federal grand jury, which we now know that he has, because this was like from a few days ago when this article came out. Now, Robin Mayer is the executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center, which does not take a position on the issue, but opposes how often it's used. She says the timing of Bondi's announcement is telling. Okay, now let me tell you all something. If you want to know anything about the death penalty, statistics, whatever, states where most murders occur and how they have the death penalty and all that, the Death Penalty Information Center is where you want to go. Okay, and they don't promote it, but they do give you a lot of information on it. So with that all being said, this is all political as far as I'm concerned. This is nothing more than this woman, Pam Bondi, and Trump together trying to clout chase and make names for themselves. Okay, that's what it is. Trump thinks he's going to go down in history, and in fact, he is. But as the worst president ever, and the president who made a mockery of the United States, okay? And even forced China, not forced, but encouraged, instigated, okay, provoked China into giving up trade secrets, okay? So anyway, she says, here we have Attorney General Pam Bondi saying that her decision to seek death for Mr. Mangione was to, quote, carry out President Trump's agenda. Didn't I tell you? She is the biggest bootlicker, okay, that Trump has. She seriously is just despicable, a despicable human being for me. Now, that statement in combination with the unusual timing in this case suggests that the death penalty is being used here to achieve political purpose. Didn't I say it? Okay, I want you all to pay attention. That's exactly what it's all about here. That's exactly what it's being used for. Okay, so federal prosecutors in New York didn't immediately respond to a request for comment about the perception of politics in the Mangione case. Mayor says this all continues the shifting politics of the death penalty debate. That's another reason why I'm against it, because these prosecutors and these attorney generals, they will absolutely use this for their own political gain and to boost their careers and all of that. In 1972, the United States Supreme Court invalidated both the federal death penalty and all state death penalty statutes. In 1988, the Federal Anti-Drug Abuse Act expanded the federal death penalty for drug-related murders. Then the pendulum swung again, and Congress passed another law expanding the death penalty in 1994. In 2001, Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, was the first federal death row inmate executed in almost 40 years. And did you all think, y'all probably didn't even know, but did you all, anybody notice how quickly, that's right, Terry Henn said showboated. That's exactly what this is about, okay? But do you all remember, for those of you who remember the Timothy McVeigh trial and all of that, and he got the death penalty, do you all remember how quickly they killed him? He was only on death row for like 7 years. And that's really odd, because people usually stay on there like 20 years because they keep filing appeals and habeas corpus and writs of habeas corpus and all of that. Okay, so anyway, between 2001 and 2020, the federal death penalty was being heavily criticized and scrutinized because of a lot of concerns about the racially biased way it is used. Didn't I tell you all that? And I want you all to pay attention, because even as a college student, I knew that. I knew that there was racial disparity. I knew that it was used to target people who look like me and poor people who can't afford adequate counsel. Okay? And that's still the thing that's going on today. So Roslyn said 7 years is quick, real quick. Yes, it is. So anyway, it is full of racial disparities, okay? Now, and it's very biased. Now, the first Trump administration executed 13 death row inmates compared to 3 in all of the prior 3 presidencies. Do y'all hear this? Hold the hell up. So do you know what this likely means? That Trump is out here trying to kill as many people on death row. Now, this is speculation and purely my own opinion, but I think from listening to this, let me read this again. It sounds to me like Trump is sitting here using the death penalty, trying to kill as many people on death row as possible, so that he has the most people executed during his presidency. Listen to this again. The first Trump administration executed 13 death row inmates compared to 3 in all of the prior presidencies. In the weeks leading up to Trump's second term, President Biden commuted the death sentences of 37 people on federal death row. Now the Trump administration wants to ramp up federal executions and to help state officials bring their own capital cases against the inmates whose death sentences were commuted. Oh my God, are you serious? By Biden? Trump is the devil. Okay, y'all, what have we gotten ourselves into? What have we, you know what? Even if Diddy doesn't get out, damn it, I'm keeping my bags packed. I might have to go to Costa Rica just to, so I can live in peace, because Trump is causing my nerves to be on edge. Are y'all hearing this? What kind of devil is he? This is absolutely deplorable. Let me just read that again. Now the Trump administration wants to ramp up federal executions and to help state officials bring their own capital cases against the inmates whose death sentences were commuted by Biden. The Justice Department is also pledging to help states secure enough drugs to carry out lethal injections. So you mean to tell me that this dirty devil named Trump, you mean to tell me that he has no problem basically allowing people to have funding to make sure they have adequate drug supplies for the people on death row to be executed, but doesn't want to give money to colleges? Wow, he is demonic, Jay McClendon. He absolutely is. Okay. Joy said Trump is evil to the bone. He absolutely is. This is, oh my God, I have never heard of anybody doing anything so low down and nefarious. Now, with this all being said, goes on to say, now, the Trump administration wants to ramp up the federal executions and to help state officials bring their own capital. Okay, we read that already. Okay, now the Justice Department is also pledging to help states secure enough drugs to carry out lethal injections. 27 states have the death penalty. One of them is South Carolina. Okay, so now David Pascoe says, in South Carolina, we went over a decade without even having any executions because we just didn't have the drugs to administer for the execution over a decade. Then Wright says that that's David That's David Pascoe, chief prosecutor for 3 counties. I'm reading the transcripts, people. Okay, that's David Pascoe, chief prosecutor for 3 counties in South Carolina. He pushed for a state law giving prisoners the option of execution by firing squad. What in the world? Where have we gone, people? Are we living in a normal society? They're giving people the option, choose, do you want to die by lethal injection that's going to have you paralyzed? You're going to be completely immobile. Your eyes will be able to move, but nothing else. And you will feel every excruciating pain upon you as we inject you with this cocktail of drugs, not injected by a doctor or medical staff, but by prison guards who are not trained, and they may not ever be able to find your vein. So you have to sit there as they poke and prod you, and they may even have to, unfortunately, stick you in the groin. And, you know, there could be chemical burns from the medicines that you're going to give you. And then, of course, your heart's going to stop because some of them are paralytics. Oh, my God. So you have to choose between that or a firing squad. Are you kidding me? What is this, the Wild Wild West? Okay, let's continue. I don't even want to read any further. But anyway, here's what they say. Here's what they say. Hold on, let me find my place. Wow, by firing squad. South Carolina has now already executed 3 people this year. What? Pascal prosecuted the most recent and welcome support from the federal government to continue executions in his state. Do you think it means that prosecutors in South Carolina will pursue the death penalty in more cases? Pascal says it's hard to say whether it'll be more cases or not, but it's going to be very appreciated in facilitating us to reach justice in our cases. I know that. Then Wright says Maggiani faces federal and state murder charges. He's pleaded not guilty in New York State, which doesn't allow the death penalty for state convictions. The only 3 remaining federal death row prisoners are still appealing their cases. This is very sad to hear. This is very sad to hear. Now, look at Maggiani. Maggiani looks like he's about 18 or 19 years old to me. Can you imagine him standing in front of a firing squad? Absolutely deplorable. Jay McClin said it's a bloodthirsty ritual for them. That's exactly what it is. Wow. And you know, it's going to be mostly people who look like me that get this sort of treatment. Anyway, a sad day for the United States, honey. Okay, please pay attention. But let me tell y'all about Harvey Weinstein real quick, and then we can get up out of here because Harvey needs to sit down. I'm going to let y'all show what this man is up to, okay? This is him. Ha! Harvey, please, okay? This is him. Holding onto the rail, can barely make it. Look at it. Now, he didn't need any of this when he was out there being nefarious, is all I'm saying. So let's talk about it. Because like I told y'all days ago, the elephant in the room is supposedly his health. Harvey Weinstein's #MeToo retrial. What to know as movie mogul returns to court. Well, so his 2020 grape conviction struck the gavel on the #MeToo movement's legal impact. It's back in court to revisit the sentence overturned ruling. Now, Weinstein's trial, or Weinstein's, is his name Harvey Weinstein or Harvey Weinstein? It looks like Weinstein. Anyway, Harvey Weinstein's retrial began in New York court Tuesday with jury selection. The legal redo, a proceeding that will largely mimic Weinstein's original state trial, is expected to last roughly 6 weeks. Okay, now Judge Curtis Farber and lawyers for both sides will question and select 12 jurors from a pool of Manhattan residents. The verdict must be unanimous to convict. I want you all to pay attention because, see, here's the thing. They always, and this isn't by coincidence, in my opinion, but they always, please pay attention. Remember the last time, and I even showed you all a timeline, how Harvey Weinstein, when he got caught up with the Me Too movement and was accused, and he was all over the media, what did they do? They went and snatched up R. Kelly, charged him, even though they knew for 2 decades that the man was doing what he was doing. Okay, they convinced me with it. And then all of a sudden, R. Kelly took over the headlines. And I showed you all the time frame of when this all happened and how it was no coincidence. And quite frankly, R. Kelly was used to outshine the Weinstein, okay? Because you know that they prefer to talk about people who look like me, and they'd rather have a black man as the face of these nefarious things rather than someone who looks like Weinstein. So with that all being said, here we have Weinstein again going for his retrial on the eve of Diddy's trial starting. Okay, are y'all listening? And his trial is going to last for 6 weeks. So his trial will be going on at the same time as Diddy's. Okay, for a moment or two. And then here's the thing. We're anticipating Diddy's trial, so it's already going to be overshadowed by Diddy's trial. All I'm saying is they do this on purpose, okay? I'm sorry. I believe it. Now, with that all being said, Weinstein, who is experiencing a variety of health problems, was brought into the courtroom in a wheelchair. I bet he was. Trying to look forlorn and sick, okay? He was brought into the courtroom in a wheelchair. The 73-year-old movie mogul wore a blue suit with a blue tie and smiled as he spoke with his legal team. A New York appeals court overturned Weinstein's original conviction last April, finding that the judge in this case erred by admitting irrelevant testimony from women whose allegations were not part of the case. Weinstein, who was sentenced to 23 years in prison, was granted a retrial and pleaded not guilty in September. Mind you, I've already told you all that if any of these people are not one of Diddy's victims and they come in there and testify and give information about Diddy assaulting or assaulting them in any way or whatever, that they might try to pull the same crap with the Diddy, which they're likely going to do because they've already mentioned it in court filings, for those of you that have been keeping up with my reports. Okay? So, you know, the only people, well, I'm not even going to say that. I'll just keep that to myself for now. But anyway, let me continue. The commencement of jury selection comes a week after the retrial start date was reportedly challenged in court due to a dispute over witness selection. Okay, according to the Associated Press, prosecutors and Weinstein's attorneys argued over the trial participation of an assistant district attorney who allegedly took notes during a 2020 interview with a third woman now testifying against the disgraced producer. Once considered one of Hollywood's most influential filmmakers, Weinstein has denied ever assaulting anyone or having non-consensual sex. Now, in the months leading up to his retrial, the Miramax co-founder, who has yet to serve a 16-year prison sentence stemming from his 2022 California rape conviction, urged a judge in New York to start his trial sooner amid health concerns. Okay, so they say Weinstein's retrial will cover 2 charges of assault and 1 of rape stemming from allegations from 3 different women, two who allege Weinstein forcibly performed oral, on them in 2006, and 1 who alleges that he raped her in 2013. First of all, I'm just curious. How does somebody forcibly perform that on you, oral? Like, how do they do that? Like, you can't close your legs. You can't clack their head in between there with your kneecaps. I'm curious. How does that happen? I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I just have questions as to why, because I can only imagine if somebody's trying to do that, you can take your knees and crack them upside their skull real quick. Okay, I find it interesting is all I'm saying. Hold on. Remember, there are very wealthy celebs. The treatment they will get may be lighter compared to us. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure of that, beloved. Hold on. Truth Brown said Diddy's trial starting on Cinco de Mayo is suspect too. It's all a ritual. Honey, don't you know I was thinking about that? I wasn't thinking about it being a ritual, but I was thinking, honey, they're having Diddy's trial on Cinco de Mayo. Okay, the Day of the Dead. Anyway, all nefarious. So anyway, Harvey Weinstein, he's playing the victim card here. He comes wobbling in on a wheelchair, on a walker, holding on to railings and all of that. Harvey Weinstein, I'm not falling for it. I have no empathy nor sympathy for this man. And quite frankly, my thing is, what are y'all laughing at? I'm being very serious at this point. The point of the matter is, I'm not thinking about Harvey Weinstein after all the things that he's done, supposedly, and not to mention Dr. Barbara Ziv. Do you all remember what happened to Dr. Barbara Ziv, who was the expert psychologist who testified in the Weinstein trial? Well, she was run over. She was run over by a car, okay? And she was an expert witness, and she basically talked about the dynamics of sexual violence and victims' responses and the impact of the violence on the victim and why some of these people would, wait so long to come forward with their stories. And so forensic psychologists who testified for the prosecution at Harvey Weinstein trial was hit by a car. Let me just tell you all something. I have no doubt in my mind that absolutely Harvey Weinstein had everything to do with it. Now, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure that Dr. Barbara Ziv would agree with me, okay, that he had something to do with it. Oh, that's what y'all are laughing at. Terry Henn said, not cracked upside the head, Queen. Well, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, so this woman was run over by a car, and that's one of the ways they take people out in Hollywood, okay? That's exactly what they do. And not to mention, there was a reporter who said that Weinstein sent someone to threaten him with physical violence, and the man had to purchase a gun and then move out of his apartment and move elsewhere just to hide out, okay? Which is exactly what I'll have to do likely if Diddy gets out. Please pay attention. Okay, so no, she didn't die. She didn't die. Gwendolyn said she was unalive. No. But Dr. Barbara Ziv, she lived. They intended to kill her, I'm sure. Her expert testimony at Weinstein's trial largely focused on the assault and victim behavior after attacks and stuff like that. Okay, so anyway, yeah, they tried to take that woman out. Somebody did, but I believe Weinstein was behind it. Okay, Vince I.M. says, sounds like a deliberate hit and run. Yeah, it absolutely was. Make no mistake, it was not an accident. And it was right after she was leaving court, supposedly. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Listen, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. Here's the thing. Y'all did not ever tell me before we roll out of here. Now, hold on. Tatiana said oral means they are forcing their member on you so you can't use your kneecap. I thought the same. Oh, okay. You're right, Tatiana. That's a good point. Tatiana said they're forcing on you so you can't use your kneecap. Okay, right, because you're not down there on bended knee between their kneecaps because they're making you do it. So you might be sitting in a chair, you might be right, and they're just trying to put it in your face. Okay, you're right. Well, you got teeth. You got teeth, I'll say that much, okay? When you can't do anything else, remember, think about this. If you're ever in a fight for your life or otherwise, and you're losing, bite, okay? Bite, all right? Just chomp down like you've never chomped before, okay? That's all you gotta do. You sure you want to make me do this right now? Are you sure? Because I got some pretty sharp teeth and they're kind of big. So where are you going with this, Harvey? Okay, that's what they should have told him. Where are you going with this, sir? Jay McClin said, fight dirty. Use nails, okay? Y'all are absolutely terrible. All right, so anyway, with that all been said, I'm about to get out of here. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Okay, I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. And some of these comments are so nefarious, I am not going to dare repeat them. Okay, so anyway, I love you all to life. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow. That's how we grow and thrive. Okay, do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Now, I might be back later, depending on what pops up in the news. Okay, I might come back and talk about, Juju said, Queen, we need trivia. We might have that, okay? We might have that. Hey, here's the thing. We might change up the game and have some type of event going on. I got to think about it and see what I want to get into. But listen, I might come back later, you guys. and do my reaction to the video of Jaguar Wright going in on Sean Atwood for pure filth. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard. Did anybody see that? Once in the chat. If y'all have heard that when Jaguar was going in on Sean Atwood, honey, I was waiting for this. Oh, I knew it was coming and I was waiting for this, okay? Yeah, I might come back and do a reaction video to that later. All right, y'all haven't heard it? Really? So that's interesting. Okay. Mama Joycelyn said, wait, Jag and Sean done fell out. Honey, fell out. It's not the word, honey. Jag went in on him. Do y'all hear me? She went in on him. And I was cracking the hell up. Okay. So y'all put ones in the chat if y'all want me to talk about it. Ones in the chat if y'all want me to come back and do a reaction to it later, because y'all got to hear how Jag was going in. That was hilarious. Okay. I almost fell out of the bed laughing. Okay, so y'all are putting ones. Okay, so it's settled. I'll be back. Mama Justin said, Queen, you can't go. We need the tea. Honey, I'm going to do this on a whole nother video, honey. Okay, because I need to get my YouTube coins up. Okay. All right, they're already stealing views and all that out here. Okay, so since everybody's putting ones, we're going to talk about it. I'll probably come back around 5 or 6. Now, if you all will say between 5 and 6:30 in case I'm running a little late. But here's the thing. I'll post it between 5 and 6:30. If you guys come to the channel and you don't see the post, come, just keep checking the channel, okay? Because I'm gonna post it. I'll do it. Now I have to go get the videos and get the timestamps and all of that, but I will be back to talk about it, okay? Because today's Friday and we ain't got ish to do. All right. So with that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this day. Okay. And always remember, beloveds, no matter what, always keep the Most High first in your lives. I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got